Have you ever wondered? Twin brothers, earning the same salary every month, putting it into the same market. But by the time they're 65 and ready to retire, one brother's account holds only $450,000, while the other's account holds nearly $2.5 million. The $2 million plus gap between them isn't because someone won the lottery, nor because someone was smarter. It's simply because one of them understood early, a money weapon that countless people underestimate: the compounding effect. This is top-tier logic. I'm Mojo. We see through the logic of money, because wealth is the only chip, to real freedom in this brutal world. From childhood, we're always taught to work hard and save desperately. But the brutal reality is, in an age where inflation devours purchasing power every second, just hoarding savings will never lift you across classes. The truly rich rarely pile up huge wealth by selling labor alone. What they excel at is building a system that makes money work for them day and night. And the core engine driving that system is compounding. Today, I'll break down the 5 core principles behind the compounding effect. First, the 3 elements of compounding. At the mention of investing, many people's first reaction is to chase insider tips or dream of catching the next skyrocketing stock, betting all their hope of wealth. But top capitalists understand long-term steady wealth can never leave the 3 cores of compounding: principal, rate of return, and time. Let's understand it with a classic snowball metaphor. Imagine standing at the top of a high mountain, about to roll a snowball. The clump of snow in your hand at first is your initial principal. How long the slope is represents how long you invest, and how wet and thick the snow on the slope is represents how high your return rate is. For the snowball to grow big, none of the 3 can be missing. But here's the problem. The return rate depends on the market and your skill, and the principal is limited by your current salary. These 2 ordinary people can hardly change much in the short term. So for us, the variable we can fully control, and the most powerful one, is actually time. The poor always complain they have no principle, no skill. But the rich know how to use time, stretching the slope as long as possible, giving the small snowball enough room to ignite that geometric growth. Now that we know time is key, let's look at the second. Back to those twins at the start. This is a classic example from potential master Tony Robbins. The older brother is William. At 20, he saw through compounding, so he invested $4,000 a year all the way until 40, then stopped. Over those 20 years, he put in $80,000 total. And the younger brother, James, holding the mindset of, I'll start when I'm rich and middle age, he dragged it out to 40 before acting. He also invested $4,000 a year, all the way to 65, a full 25 years, putting in $100,000 of principal. Assuming both have a steady 10% annual return by 65. The younger brother, who started late, even though he put in more principal, ended up with only about $450,000. While the older brother, who entered early, never put in another cent after 40, yet through compounding rolling over long years, his wealth finally reached nearly $2.5 million. The 2 brothers' principal differed by only $20,000, but because the older started 20 years earlier, this extra slope of time created a gap of over $2 million for him. The poor always wait for the perfect timing, starting only when rich. But the rich know the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, and the next best is now. Third, we must shatter a hugely destructive myth: the blind chase for high returns. Many beginners simply look down on 10 or 15% a year. They hunt everywhere for double in a month, triple in a year high-risk schemes, worshiping get-rich-quick myths. But they ignore one brutal piece of math. Let's compare. The first investment gains 50% this year, but loses 20% next year, wild swings. The second, dreadfully boring, no explosive surge, but steadily earns 15% every year. Invest both for 20 years. Which one earns the most? The answer is that boring, steady 15% a year wins completely. This might overturn your intuition, but it's an ironclad fact. Even the stock god Buffett, his compound annual return over 52 years of investing. The answer is around 19%. This number sounds nothing exciting, But it's exactly this half-century of stability that built his empire of hundreds of billions. The poor treat investing like gambling, always thinking, go all in, turn a bike into a motorbike. But the rich treat investing as long-term asset allocation. They don't seek short-term windfalls, only steadiness and survival. Because what compounding fears most was never earning slowly, but interruption and wild volatility. So if you say, I get the logic, but my salary's gone after rent each month, where's the principle to roll a snowball? Then you must hear the fourth, the story of disciplined saving. In America, there was a UPS courier named Theodore Johnson. He was just a frontline worker. His annual salary never once exceeded $14,000. In America, that's solidly the lower income class. But he had one unbreakable rich person habit called disciplined saving. Every time he got his wages or a bonus, he forced himself to set aside 20% first to buy his own company, UPS stock, and hold it long term. This 20% looked trivial at first, not even enough to improve his life. But as time passed and the company grew, these small snowballs rolled bigger. When Johnson turned 90, people were stunned to find this lifelong low-wage courier held stock worth over $70 million. The poor sneer at 100 or 2 of small money, thinking saving this little can't change fate. But the rich treat this seemingly trivial small money as seeds for the future. Don't underestimate the few thousand you save every month. As long as you have extreme discipline and put it into quality assets that produce cash flow, time and compounding, will naturally make up for your salary's disadvantage. The last one, and the bloodiest, most overlooked objective law, the backlash of negative compounding. Everyone loves the stories of compounding making money, yet few realize when compounding loses money, its destructive power is an equally geometric disaster. Because in the financial world, the math of making money and losing money is completely unequal. Say you have $1 million in principal, and this year you luckily gain 100%. Assets become $2 million. But next year the market crashes, you lose 50%. Assets halve in an instant. What does this mean? It means just a 50% loss, and you must then earn 100% return, just to barely break even. This is why all top investment masters treat protecting the principal as an untouchable life and death red line. The poor chase highs blindly in the market, thinking a loss will just recover next wave. But the rich are extremely wary of the risk in every decision, because they see through it, one fatal mistake, severely wounding the principal, and the snowball you rolled over a decade with time and discipline will melt and collapse. In this game of compounding, living long, living steady always matters more than running fast. Seeing this, take a look at your own finances. Are you also often unwilling to take the first step because you feel your funds are too small? Or always holding a speculative mindset, darting in and out of high-risk schemes, ending up with nothing? Remember, the wealth of this world was never a simple reward for diligence, but a compensation for insight and discipline. Starting today, stop making excuses. Force yourself to save a sum every month, however small, and put it into steady assets. Quit the itch for overnight riches. Learn to embrace boring long-termism. Building wealth was never a 100-meter sprint, but a marathon of time and discipline. Push your little snowball early, and time will build you an entire snow mountain. When you truly learn to make money work for you, and hand your fate to time and compounding to ferment, you'll be deeply grateful to the you of today, who chose to act now and keep accumulating. If this episode helped you, please subscribe to Top Tier Logic, hit like, and ring the bell. Next time, we keep uncovering the logic behind wealth. I'm Mojo. See you in the next one.